In life, you have to make those type of sacrifices starting out. You have to put in more hours necessary than the average person to be able to get to where you want to be. Welcome back, everybody, to the Just in a Know podcast, where we make knowledge your strongest weapon.
What's up, folks? Pleasure to have you guys back. As always, your boy Just over there, your boy Nas over here, and let's get this rodeo started.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about a topic that you're going to possibly need in your life. Well, I would hope that you would need in your life. The sacrifices that you need to make in order to get to the next level. And guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, please give a subscribe. All we want to do is make you better through some words. And also follow us on any of the podcasts, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music.
Yeah, sacrifices, big part of life. You know, it's really the driving factor to making change, you know. What I mean by that is you could know what you need to do, but if you don't stop doing other things, you're never going to really be able to, you know, see those things through, see those things that will catapult and further add to your, you know, to your portfolio, to your value, to your respectability as a person. So sacrifice is really that initial, you know, driving factor of making change. You could have the whole blueprint, but if you're not willing to change anything about the current state you're in right now, then you're not going to really be able to act on that blueprint. You're not going to be able to follow through or engineer that blueprint.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about is making the sacrifice inside of your mind, because if you don't have the mindset to be able to make those changes, everything else that you do is not going to have that justification for you to be able to go out there and do it. So the first thing within your mind is knowing your faults, right? Knowing where you lack in life, knowing the things that you need to separate yourself from. So you have to build the mindset in order to deal with those things. And when it comes to mindset, you really have to sit down by yourself. And this really only happens by yourself. You can't do it with other people because not everyone knows your entire life. You may tell people things, right? But not every single detail. Only you will know that. So you have to sit down in a room by yourself and really sometimes jot down the things that you're weak in and the things that you're strong in. And you have to make the contract. You have to set up I would say this. You have to put a contract with yourself in order to make the necessary sacrifices to get better. You have to sit down and tell yourself, like, look, I know I'm fucking up in these things and I know I have to get better. What's the plan? What's the plan of attack to get to where I need to be?
Yeah, I like that you mentioned that because that's really where it's going to be clear and how you're going to find out what it is that you're going to need to change and what you're going to need to sacrifice, what environments you're going to need to avoid, what type of people you're going to need to stop interacting with, what activities or behavior you're going to need to start participating in or stop participating in. It starts with that first, and I just want to add this little detail. Even if you don't necessarily act on the change immediately, you have to cut out the bad shit first. You know, that's the most important step. And to go even further into detail, it's whatever it is that you feel like is holding you back, that's stopping you from, you know, elevating yourself. Just stop doing it as soon as possible at the nearest possible point in your life, and then figure out what you're going to replace it with after. But you just have to kick it. You gotta kick it. You gotta find a way to eliminate that part of your life. We could start with, again, in your mind. You could reach that decision in your mind. What type of things bring you down mentally?
Yeah.
Well, whether it's type of content that you
expose
you
yourself to.
expose yourself to, the type of you know maybe if you're a spiritual person, if that's missing, maybe you want to spend more time doing that and spend less time engaging in things that, or thinking in ways that takes you away from your spirituality. So you just have to know what you got to cut off first, and what things you're going to have to eliminate from your day-to-day life. And sometimes it gets as personal as even family.
Yeah. So the first thing that you have to do is strengthen your mind, sacrifice the things for your mind. Then you have to do it for your body because your body and mind are in tandem. And then you have to do it for your environment too, because you can do so, personally, but what you surround yourself with is going to determine whether your body and mind, intertwine with it. So when it comes to mindset, man, you have to be mentally strong to make the necessary sacrifices and also be able to go towards the things that you need to do, even when it's a bad day. Because really, your greatness is really determined on what you're able to do on the worst day.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this a little bit personal because one of the things that I still haven't refined to the level I want to refine it to in my life is the environment. I've done a good job. Again, by the way, this is self reminders for the most part. It starts off me and Jess. We always like to remind ourselves. This is our way of keeping each other in check,
Yes.
reminding each other, and encouraging each other, and pushing each other to greater and a higher quality of life.
And I
Just
also want to say that, all of us are not perfect. We're not perfect. We're just, this is like he said, just as a reminder for both of us to keep, going towards our goals. And also we want to say that, we're not perfect. We're going to say it again. We're not perfect. Things that we're going to say to you right now are things that we're currently dealing with, something that probably you're dealing with. It's a battle that you have to fight every single day because there's temptations, there's desires, things that humans, deal with, people deal with. So we're just trying to remind ourselves every single day that we have to push forward, even if, sometimes we really don't want to.
yeah. So just to get that out of the way, disclaimer. We're not above or better than anybody. We're just trying to better each other, and hopefully that could rub off to our viewers.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. So one thing I'm struggling with, and when I say struggling, it's not like really haunting me, but it's still definitely a point where I can improve in my life. Is the environment thing. Like I know what type of things. I think I understand pretty well and pretty clearly. What type of things can affect my mentality in terms of content I expose myself to, just words or conversation or whatever. But one thing that I've still trying to really really eliminate and bring it down to like 0% is putting myself in environments or around people that I really don't respect or have nothing in common with. What I mean by that is sometimes things run their course in life. Relationships, work, shit. There's a lot of different areas in life that just they're there for a short time, and when that's it. It runs out. You got to know that it's ran out, and you can't sit there trying to suck extra life out of it.
Of
You
course.
just have to let it go because otherwise, it's only gonna it could be beneficial for you, and then you turn it into a negative because you've stuck around too long. You stayed somewhere where it no longer suits you for longer than the necessary amount of time. And I'm still, trying to get over that hump where I absolutely do not go or do not surround myself with people or environments that don't add or can't, perpetuate my progress. Yeah. So one thing I do like to do that's been helping me is going back to what I said earlier about just starting off with eliminating certain things. I haven't really taken that next step of always being in the right place, in the right situation for myself. But I've been doing a pretty good job of not filling that with just negativity. So I'd rather spend 3 hours staring at the ceiling of my room and doing nothing instead of spend 3 hours wasting time, wasting energy, wasting words, wasting a brain power. Because your brain gets tired from being awake and being functioning, operating at a high level throughout the day at a high speed. So I I rather save that. I'm okay with staring at the ceiling. It sounds a little bit depressing, but it's better than going and filling that 3 hour time frame with just people who are energy abusers, uh, sucker, time leeches, money leeches. So it's just better than the alternative. So maybe I could fill my time, and not maybe I could fill my those 3 hours with something that could actually help me or benefit me in the long run. But it starts off with just knowing that I'd rather do nothing or be around nobody than be around things that are going to only harm me, that don't serve me really any purpose.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of maybe a starting point that a lot of people could find very helpful.
So I know in the aspect of environment, a lot of people do have environments where are not beneficial for them at all. And that's the first, well, probably not the first sacrifice you should make, but this is one of the major sacrifices that you can make. And honestly, for some people, this might be the first. You have to sacrifice the friends that you're around. You you can't want to get better around people that don't want the best for you and don't want the best for themselves. People will think of it as, they'll take that as attack on them, you know, and they'll try to bring you down to, the level where you're at or they're at so that they can feel good about themselves. And you as a person that wants to get better needs to know that that's not a priority for you. So if you're around people that, say if you want to be physically fit, right? But you're around people that all they want to do is eat whatever they want to eat and they don't want to work out. Of course, you can't be around those type of people because they're never going to encourage you to do better for yourself, or they're not going to tell you the things that you need to hear so that you can do better for yourself. So the first thing you need to do is cut off those friends that are not beneficial for you in your current state of life and for your future. So I'll take that even as financially too. There's some friends, right, that know that you're a frugal person, that you invest into things that are only going to be beneficial. But then you have friends that just spend money crazy. And those type of people you can't be around because they're going to tell you like, oh yeah, let's go take a trip here. Let's go do this. Let's go out to the club. Let's do all these things. And that doesn't benefit you whatsoever. And then when it comes to having a business deal or, trying to invest into something that's going to make you guys money, they're not inclined to that. And they'll probably ridicule you for it too. And you can't be around those people. I'm sorry to say it might be fun in the moment. It might be fun in the times. You might have good memories together, whatever have you, but that's not going to benefit your future. So first thing that you need to do is cut those damn people off and go find you some friends that you can actually build with.
Yeah, that's a good point that you made too, because I like to use this analogy. Let's say you've been drinking regularly for however many years, for a long time, and you cut drinking for like a month. You cold turkey, you don't drink no more, right? Now follow along. This is pretty significant. What makes more sense? Like, honestly, an idiot can answer this question. What makes more sense? If you want to continue staying away from alcohol, would it make more sense to go to a bar once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, or be around any drinking environment and throughout the whole year and basically flirt with the possibility of drinking? Or would it just make more sense to just completely avoid that? I'm not going to the bar. I don't care if I trust my willpower, my ability to restrain. Uh, I I can't really, I don't want to expose myself to that. It just doesn't make no sense, because I don't want to drink. And that's a place where drinking goes on. The answer is simple. You just avoid it completely. So in terms of, temptation of things that will lead you to falling into holes and having lapses in your progress, it's the easiest technique really is to just avoid something completely. You want to stop smoking, then don't put yourself in environments where there's a lot of smoking going on.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe there's a world where you could be in those environments and completely, not not participate. But it just makes more sense to not be in those environments.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to not test your ability to fall victim to temptation and go to a bar for 180 days out of the 365 days in a year and see, oh, am I really mentally tough or not? Why would you even want to flirt with that? Because all it takes is one time to really fold. So maybe out of 180 days that you put yourself in a drinking environment, you might not fold for like 178 days. But what about those 2 days where you did fold? Then it makes it easier for you to continue folding, continue to having relapses, and continue to have like those setbacks in your progress. So what makes more sense is just to completely avoid it. And that goes back to what I was saying before about just knowing where to start in terms of what you need to eliminate first. And then you can start implementing changes. Avoid the bar for 180 days that you would have otherwise went to the bar, and then think about maybe working out. But start off with just avoiding that. Avoid the smoking, and then think about, after you've eliminated that aspect, then think about how could you be more productive, and how could you fill your time with more financially beneficial things, whether it's knowledge, whether it's work or business, whatever it is. You find those things after you eliminate, when you're not as clouded, when you're not as distracted. So I feel like that analogy is pretty it's pretty significant and relatable, and it's simple to understand even for the airheads out here.
Yeah, no, facts. And since I'm not a female or a woman, I can't speak on these things, but I'm going to talk about our men here, right? And this goes personally for me too. And, I hope it goes for you as well. We're going to talk about the interactions with, the opposite gender. And for you as a male, right, that wants to get better, listen, I'm sorry to say this. I might, hurt a couple of feelings here,
Who gives a fuck?
but who gives a fuck? We're trying to make you better at the end of the day. If you're a man that does not has himself financially stable, or that does not have his financial freedom, do not, while on your chase, entertain having a relationship. Do not do that unless, and this is a very, very small percentage, the person that you're building with understands your philosophy and understand the goals that you're trying to reach and where you're trying to be. And they're also on the same type of space as you, and they can help you build. If you're in a relationship, I'm not talking about like wife or this relationship, and the person does not understand where you're trying to be, it's going to falter, because your main goal is to become financially stable for you to have a family, right? And you cannot be going out on trips. You cannot be going out on dates. You cannot be going out doing other things that are time inductive, right? Even just hanging out with your significant other, whatever.
Pointless. Yeah.
It's pointless because it's literally just bringing you back, or it's keeping you at a standstill. So this is to all my younger men. Focus on your career first. Sacrifice that interaction with the opposite gender. And if you can't, don't commit to anything, right? Until you are okay where you're at financially first. Because I don't care what nobody says, bro. A relationship is an investment. If you're not spending money, you're spending time. And most likely, you're not just going to only spend time. You're definitely going to spend money.
No, it's an investment of all sorts.
All sorts. So you're going to waste money on that relationship that's probably going to falter. Guess what? That's a wasted investment that you got nothing out of. Maybe some lessons, but the best lesson is just to not deal with it at all. So when you're building, make sure that your first and only priority is yourself. Right? Yourself. Because sometimes, in a relationship, you have to give time. In this current state of world, finances are at an all-time high. So it's costing more to live now. So what that means is that you have to put in more work in order to be at above water, and to get yourself to the sky, you have to put in an extreme amount of work, which a relationship will not be able to withstand unless you have that right specific person. And those type of people are in the 0.0%, 0.1% of people. So don't do it, man. Do not do it. Focus on your craft first and then you will attract the person that you'll need to be around, and then you guys can build together.
Yeah, I feel like it's safe to say in general, human nature, we're all pretty similar in this fashion, where we're all kind of chasing that peace, that steadiness, that calmness in our life. And in order to actually get there, my perspective is making the decision of your life partner is not one of, it's the most important decision when it comes to all that,
Yes.
because this is a person that you basically give your all to. Like, they know more about you than anybody else. So you get intimate with them, know more about you than anybody else. They spend more time around you than anybody else. Um, you're hopefully going to build a family with them. So there's so many details and parts of a relationship, of a marriage, hopefully, that are, you just can't find elsewhere. Like, you could have a business relationship with somebody and possibly also have it with your wife, in terms of the business side. But there's parts of a relationship, aspects of a relationship that you can't have with anybody but your wife. So that means there's a special part of you, a certain part of you that's only restricted to your significant other, wife with her husband, husband with his wife. So that creates the dynamic of how important it is. Really, what degree of importance should be placed on making that decision. It's not just like, oh yeah, we like each other and we're just gonna live our own separate lives, but just share space together in intimate moments. Like, that's not how it works. That shit is garbage. Don't take this blueprint, this outline, this idea, framework, whatever you want to call it, that we have a society right now. That's what's leading to this massive number, this high rate of, the divorce, this high rate of breaking up, this high rate of high partners, people having high number of partners, men and women. You know that this is what's leading to all that. We like to lie to ourselves and say, like, there's a world where we can live our own lives but together. Like, that doesn't work. You live your own lives in certain ways, but majority, you're living a joint life. Things have to align. Things have to be compatible. And if they're not, then eventually there is going to be some frustration. There is going to
Mm-hmm.
be some tension. There is going to be some things that could weigh a man down from continuing to progress financially and in other areas of his life. A woman, for her to progress emotionally, mentally, physically. You know what I'm saying? That all those things could be, hindered by a relationship based on the wrong foundation. You got to get that shit figured out early on. Like, this is where I see my life going. This is what I want to do with my life. This is how I envision my goals in life, my desires, and how I also want to go about it. They kind of have to have that shared approach too. Eh, the journey is just as important, if anything, more important than the destination. So, you have two people might end up in the same place, but if they took two different routes, it's gonna look a lot different.
A lot
You know,
different.
so it's a very important decision, and to waste time just playing around, especially fellas, like, you're wasting energy. Yeah, we think we're some type of emotionally resistant creatures, when in reality, I feel like we're always the ones more invested in a relationship than the girl, and we just, we keep ourselves together. We hold it together more. That's all. But in terms of actual investment, we really be, you know diving into investments and wanting to give everything and take sacrifices and take L's when we think this is the right person. But all that leads to failure and can lead you to your demise and to your destruction when you're doing it for the wrong person, for somebody where I think it's pretty easy usually to find out early, to decide early on, like, oh, this person is not going to really be there for me through the ups and downs. It's not really going to push me to elevation. So wasting your time chasing women, wasting your time having relationships with them for reasons that are empty, that are insignificant, pointless. It's only going to hurt you. And yeah, you might think you're a player, my brother, but you're really only playing yourself, because you're spending time and money and effort somewhere where it's not going to give you any of that back. It's
Nothing.
only going to be wasted. You're not investing. When it's the wrong person, it's not an investment no more. It's
It's a
just a
liability.
loss.
It's a liability.
It's just a loss. Yeah, investment means there's a chance of a return on investment.
There's
When it's
none.
with the wrong person, there ain't no return on investment, my brother. There's loss of investment. LOI, a new term. I made that term. You heard?
LOI.
So LOI,
I'm gonna start using that.
LOI. It sounds like lie. So when you're in a relationship that's a lie, then you're gonna have a LOI. You heard?
A loss of investment.
Yes, sir.
Listen, and another thing that you have to sacrifice too, and honestly, it's not as important as your mind because you can't do this without your mind, but it's also your body. Listen, when we're talking about sacrifice for the betterment of yourself and betterment for your future, we're talking about longevity, right? And as you get older, your body is going to decline whether you take care of it or you don't take care of it. But if you don't take care of it, you're going to decline even faster. So when we talk about having, sacrifices for your body, you have to sacrifice what you put in there. Yes, this may taste good. Yes, I might have a dopamine effect when I, consume this, but I have to limit my consumption of it. Same thing with alcohol, same thing with smoking, same thing with fast foods and all those things. You have to limit those things, right? Or even get rid of them if you can, right? Your body is what they say, your temple. Your temple. So how are you going to be able to function in this world with a temple that has bad or crumbling foundations? You have to build that foundation of strength so you're able to conquer the world. Now, let me ask you a question. Who's going to be more able to take on more stress mentally, physically, and all types of stress in a sense? The person who's physically fit, that's able to run 5 miles without no problem, that's able to lift, that's able to go out, work out every single day without, having any lashback on his body or her body, or the person that doesn't take their physical fitness seriously and they're overweight, they're obese, or they have, especially with health issues, right? You're more susceptible to having health issues when you are not physically inclined, right? So the person that has the less physical ability or physical prowess is going to be more susceptible to faltering under the stress. Because first it starts with the mental. You have mental stress and then it comes to your body. So if your mind is stressed, then your body won't be able to compete. And then even if your body won't be able to compete, say I feel like my body is tired, my mind is going to give up. So if you're more physically fit and you go to the gym, you be more consistent, guess what? You're able to put more out the day. You're able to operate off of less hours of sleep. You have less diseases that you would have to deal with, or even, let's say we all deal with it, laziness, you're going to be able to want to get up and do more if you're more physically inclined. Because if you're able to be more consistent inside of the gym, come on now. You're telling me that you can't put in an extra 2 to 3 hours more of work? Of course you can. The person that's not physically inclined is not going to be able to do so. So you have to make the current sacrifices for your body for the future. Because put like this, somebody that has been physically fit for the entirety of their life usually lives longer, because when they're at the older stage of their life, when their body starts to decline, it declines less because they don't have too much weight that they have to carry around, right? Their body is operating off of foods that are beneficial, not a detriment, and they're able to do better things. So you have to make that sacrifice for your body. Your body is your temple, and make sure that the foundations that you have for your body, which is, getting the adequate amount of physical fitness, eating the right amount of foods, is going to strengthen and keep your temple open for longer.
Yeah, and that's kind of tied really to everything that we've talked about so far. That's also directly correlated to really taking care of your temple, because when you're wasting energy, stress is a very highly overlooked, factor in health and in success. We don't realize that, things such as being in with the wrong person, it creates stress.
Mhm.
When stress is at a high, is very, uh, it's a big part of your everyday life where you're always stressed, it brings you down. It brings down your ability to actually grow physically and to grow mentally, and it contributes to your downfall. So the ability to manage stress, because it's not avoidable, but ability to manage it is all tied to really how shape you are in all areas, with your body, with your emotions, with your
Right.
mental. And it's all one big. We're basically just creating one big umbrella of things that you really need to look out for, and you really need to be mindful of, and you can't just disregard. You can't just dismiss the impact and neglect the impact of things such as pointless relationships, pointless environments, pointless spending of time, pointless eating, pointless damage on your body. You want to preserve the good things, the things that was given to you, that you were blessed with. You want to preserve that. You were blessed with a healthy mind. You want to preserve that. A healthy body. You want to preserve that. You weren't born emotionally unstable. You want to preserve your emotional stableness, your emotional stability. You want to preserve all those things. Don't expose yourself and constantly throw yourself in environments that's going to have those areas of your life deteriorate, because it's already going to deteriorate through time.
Regardless.
So
Regardless.
you want to make it last. It's going to deteriorate anyway. So you don't want to let some outside source, aid the deterioration and further intensify and further accelerate that how fast you're declining. There's people who get to 35 and you look at them and they look like they done lived 70 years of
Yeah.
life already.
Mhm.
And when it comes to like just physical blessing, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the people who otherwise really are healthy, just like the stress, the toll that life has taken on them, their neglect for their emotions, for their well being, and a lot of areas in life. It just really looks like they done been through 3 world wars. So you want to be really mindful of cutting out the things that that damage that and that create the levels of toxicity and stress that will lead to your downfall. You want to preserve your temple.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, especially, I'm going to put it like this. For people who want to be successful, I mean, I sure definitely want to be successful. I hope you want to be successful, and I hope you want to be successful. And I'm talking about never having to worry about any financial problems at all ever in my life. So that means, I do want to be a millionaire, right? But what do they say? With more money comes more problems, right? So, yes, you do have money, but then you have a lot more responsibility. So that means you're going to have to put more hours in that necessarily probably didn't do in your younger life. But when you're successful, when you have money, you have families that depend on you. Because if you have a business, you own that business and you employ people that you pay that take care of their family. So you have to also be able to deal with that type of stress while dealing with everything else that comes with having a business. When you're successful, you have to deal with fame. I'm sorry to say this, like a lot of people say that, you can probably make money and not be famous. You're going to be like, so fame is going to,
Well, no.
in a sense, it will though. Not probably to the outside world, but more so within the inner,
Yeah.
parts of your organization. Because not only that, you're going to have your personal life, you have your business life too.
Yeah, so there's a lot more eyes on you. for sure.
Exactly. So like you have to, talk to your managers, talk to your CEOs, talk to your employees. Like it's all gonna funnel towards you in a sense. Because the only way that you keep a business, intact is if you have oversight over everything. And say if one of your businesses is failing, right? Now you have to dive deep in and put extra hours in just to make sure it stays afloat. You have to be able to put up with that type of stress, or everything that you just built up towards is going to falter. So if you take care of your mind, you're able to deal with stress without being, because the thing about stress induces emotions. If you're not able to control your emotions, you're going to make irrational decisions. So a person that's strong-minded very strong minded is going to be able to, you know, calm those emotions and think logically and be able to come up with the best type of decision. Because trust me, when it comes to owning a business, you cannot fuck up. Okay. Just like how when you have your bills to pay, they don't care whether you're financially, inclined to pay them or whatever, you have to pay that bill. Same thing with your business. The world does not care, especially if you provide a service or products to people. They don't care about your life and what you're dealing with it. You have to perform whether you want to or not. So, and able to deal with that type of stress, you gotta be physically inclined. Your mental gotta be strong, and you can't be around a certain environment of people because guess what? You as a CEO, right, of your business, if you're found around the wrong group of individuals, your business will falter because people see you at the top of your the organization, and they will base your organization off of you. So you have to be the role model of your business in every facet of life, right? You can't falter in any way, or your everything that you just worked for will come to crumble.
Yeah, I want to use a little example because you kind of just sparked my, I don't know, you just jogged my memory, whatever, induced my brain to think about this. But for a lot of people aren't familiar, but the Paul Pierce situation about how he basically got fired from ESPN because he recorded himself. Weed is legal. Recorded himself smoking. He's not a player anymore, so like the restrictions against weed use, I don't even think it had anything to do with him smoking or being in that environment. It was really his decision to record himself and to expose, the public to him being there. It was a bad look. And why I'm saying that is going back to your point about like, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders. The more, the higher up you are in life is all he had to do. The only thing he could have changed from that whole thing, he could have enjoyed that same night, same situation. All he had to do was not turn the camera on and expose himself.
Yeah.
And he would have still had his job. You know what I'm saying? So is it right? Is it wrong? That's not what I'm trying to talk about here. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care enough to think whether ESPN did the right thing or if Paul Pierce was fine and they should have kept him. That's not what I'm here to discuss. But the reason why I'm saying that is because you just have to, again, go back to our earlier conversation is you just have to play the game. And part of playing the game consists of knowing how to set yourself up to perform at the highest possible level. And you speaking about, preserving your temple and further strengthening your mind, your body, all that is part of playing the game. Like maybe you don't really want to go to you don't really care about having a certain body. It's the body is not the important part. It's just the effect that working out, staying in shape, staying active has on you is going to help you in your quest of being, a person of high priority, a person of high importance, a person of high value. It's going to aid that, So yeah, you could decide like, oh, I don't like to work out. I don't think, but the truth is the pros outweigh the cons.
Yep.
Of working out. So it is going to only help you. I don't really see a situation where it's going to hurt you.
It doesn't.
So if you choose not to do that, then you're automatically deciding that you're not willing to put in or, take the necessary course of action that will allow you to perform at your highest level. And that's something you got to come to terms with yourself as an individual. That you just have to make sacrifices. Like, I don't like doing certain shit that I still do. I'm sure you don't either. There's things in your life that you probably, in a desire sense, you would probably love to go without, or you would love to go with, but you refrain from doing so because you just want to be.
And let's take it in another basketball reference, right? There's two type of people. We're going to talk about John Morant and we're going to talk about LeBron James, right? Now, John Morant is pending suspension from, NBA because of his lack of term of him brandishing weapons consistently, right? He does what he has to does on the court, right? He takes the time to train. He could take care of his body, right? But guess what? He's lacking in the environment that he keeps and the way how he presents himself, right? And now he's part of a bigger organization. Now, yes, you can say that, Having a gun is legal, whatever have you. But it's certain things that, just like with Paul Pierce, where
He
he's
didn't get arrested, by the way, so nobody
Yeah.
said it's illegal.
yeah,
Nah,
it's legal. But the thing is that it's what you portray. Now, me as an organization, that's not something that I want my my organization to be about, because now he's a face of a part of the brand. And guess what? People don't like that. So, of course, that is a detriment to the brand, because now not only are you bringing down the value for yourself, you're bringing the value for the organization that you work for, which is the Grizzlies. And that leads in part to the NBA, and that can't happen. So you see, for his case, he's about to jeopardize everything that he worked for because of the environment that he's around, the things that he listens to. So things like that. And then you have the other hand of LeBron James. Ever since high school, you ever heard anything about LeBron? No. He keeps himself around a good environment. He keeps take care of his body. He said he spends over $1 million a year on just things to keep his body. And what's the first thing that we said about sacrifices? We're doing this to have longevity. He's the longest playing person right now at his level. He's on year 20, still averaging as many points as his prime year for his entire career.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So that takes a huge deal of sacrifice. And not only is he good on the court, off the court too. He made the necessary sacrifices to stay out the way, to keep control of his body, keep control of his mind, and not to say things that, jeopardize his, because when you're at that level, one thing can jeopardize everything.
I do want to make one point with the Ja Morant situation. To me, he's a great example of the shallowness and the privilege that people think that they're entitled to.
Mhm.
It's crazy. You've secured yourself millions of dollars to play and to do something that you actually love, which most people don't even get to do. It doesn't matter, sport or otherwise. Most people don't really get to live a life where they're making millions of dollars doing something that they're actually passionate about.
Yes.
Okay, so he already has that privilege, right? And even further, you're getting, or you're already getting popularity. You're gaining popularity just being a member of the NBA organization.
Of course.
So you're getting so many, positives out of it. The fact that you think you should get away with carrying yourself that way, again, it's not illegal. So nobody's calling for him needing to get arrested or whatever. It's just this idea of you've signed a contract, you've committed to a certain way of carrying yourself, to being a certain person, to being a person and viewed in a certain way and having a certain impact in the public eye, that it comes with certain responsibilities. No, we don't have the luxury of doing whatever the hell you want and not being, called out for it. Because if he should get away with that, then other people should get away with other shit without me getting into details. Then we should just be living in mayhem.
Yep.
Is that what we want?
No.
In order to avoid chaos and avoid mayhem, there has to be boundaries. There has to be strict boundaries, strict rules, things you have to adhere to. In order to be a part of the NBA organization, you have to carry yourself a certain way. They require certain professionalism. They require certain, ways of this, acting in public, behaviors that you could display and things you have to keep behind the scenes, behind the curtains. And he didn't abide by that. And they're entitled to punish him the way that they want to. If they banned him from the NBA, cool, so be it. If the NBA bans him, he's still a free man living in America and he could still do whatever he wants, just not as part of the NBA organization.
Yep.
So nobody's saying we should take away his rights. No, he has to make that decision. I've made that commitment. I've worked myself up to this point. For me to throw it away just so I could say that, just over the fact of I should have the privilege or the right to put it on camera, is so silly. It's such a low level, shallow level of thinking. It's so surface level. And so what does he gain from being able to show that shit on camera? There is no positive from it. So why you can't just give that up?
Yeah.
Nobody's telling him not to carry the gun. Nobody's telling him what to do. Do exactly what you was doing, just not on camera.
Not on camera, not to be seen.
You know what I'm saying?
Because at the end of the day, listen, all NBA players are, in a sense, public figures, and they're role models too.
Examples.
Kids watch your games, Teenagers watch your games. Adults watch your games. Parents, you know what I'm saying? And that's not something, because some people, they fantasize over these type of players and they want to be like these players. Now, if you allow things like that in the organization, that means it is okay for it to be done in regular life. And listen, John Morant is only getting away with this like how he is right now because he's where he's at. In other parts of the world or in other parts of the nation, you do that in public, it ain't gonna look too right for you. So what we're trying to say is that you have to sacrifice certain things in an aspect for the betterment of yourself. So, especially with environment, like in Jaw's case, if he wasn't around people that don't do those things, would he be inclined to be brandishing a weapon?
Probably not.
Of course not.
If he was around any person with some decency in them, some care, some consideration for his well-being, just one person out of the entire group, they could have probably stopped him from doing that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's pretty clear that he wasn't around those type of people that want the best for him. You know what I'm saying? Instead, they were those leeches that just want to leach and
they don't care about
him,
anything
from being around him, popularity, status, clout, all that. And I do want to add one note about, I asked the question again of what does he lose from not turning on the camera and showing himself? He doesn't lose an absolute thing. So it's just so pathetic that it even needs to be a conversation, one. And two, hopefully this can carry over to other people to be able to think like that, to apply that line of thinking to when you make your decisions, when it comes time for you to make sacrifices, really think about the things that you plan on sacrificing or feel like you should sacrifice for the sake of, your own self-improvement, your own self-betterment. But ask yourself that question, like, do I lose from sacrificing this thing? And when I say lose, I mean actually lose. Does it set you back in life? And if it's something that's really bad for you, the answer is obviously going to be like,
gotta cut it out.
The answer is going to be, no, you're not going to lose if you eliminated this from your life. So that means eliminate it. Just go with the logical answer. This isn't I don't even think this is opinion based. I don't even want to say this is how I feel or how I think. I don't think this is just how it is. You know what I'm saying? It's simple math. This minus this equals this. Does that work? Does the equation stand true? Yes. Okay.
Gotta be done.
Then I'm going to use this equation. You know what I'm saying? So it's just simple shit that a lot of us, we feel like we should have no structure. There should be no framework. No, certain things lead to, certain behaviors lead to certain results. And you got to always take that with you. Ask yourself, will I lose will my life downgrade? Will my life suffer if I were to eliminate this environment? This person, if I cut them off, will my life take a step back? If I eliminated this behavior or this activity that I'm kind of, I guess I'm addicted to, if I eliminated that from my life, will I lose? And if it's something that's harmful for you, the answer to that is going to be that you're not going to lose, and abide by that and adhere to that and respect it, and hopefully you carry that with you to seek better life. And
so I want to go on a little, not a tangent, but I'm going to talk directly to the viewer on this one, because I'm going to just summarize everything that we just said inside of this podcast, because for the people that probably didn't watch through this entire podcast, I'm just going to summarize it up for you, right? Or if you wasn't listening. To the viewers, all right? In life, you have to make those type of sacrifices, right? Starting out, you have to put in more hours necessary than the average person to be able to get to where you want to be. So in life, you have to, and this is not a negotiation. This is what it is. In order to build your finances, first, you have to be mentally inclined. That is, first, you have to have emotional control, and you have to gain knowledge and make those sacrifices to learn to be able to be even in the playing field of those of the successful, right? Then you have to put in the necessary work. So in order to get more hours out the day and not be as tired and to be operating off of less amount of sleep, your body has to be up to par. You cannot be eating bullshit and then think that you're going to be able to function at the highest capacity, because the only way that you compete with these successful people is to operate at the highest capacity. So you have to put more of those hours in for a longer period of time, because nobody's an overnight success. That happens to a very select few of people, but that is not you. You have to go in life knowing that the end game is a date that you won't even know, right? So it might be for 5, 10, 15, 20 years that you might be putting in like maybe 10 to 12 hours of work a day. But if that's what your end goal is, you gotta be inclined to the journey and understand that these sacrifices have to be made in order for me to get better. So you have to cut yourself off from the friends that are leeching from your success. If they're not there to build you up, they're there to bring you down. If you're in a relationship, right, and it's not progressing your current stature of where you are, get rid of it. Understand? That's the one most only thing that can bring you down, because it's harder to get rid of a relationship than it is to get friends, because you have more intimacy and you have more inclination, because you're probably more around that person
And you're more invested.
Don't invest into somebody that's not going to invest into your future. Get rid of it. A relationship is a leisure. It's a leisure. It's not mandatory. It's a leisure. It's a leisure that you can have, that you're going to have for a long period of time, if only you take care of yourself first. Because in a relationship, right, you both have to be at a really good headspace, a really good financial space, a really good career space, in order to love each other at, equal terms, or even, more so the terms that's going to ever last, right? So if you're not there mentally by yourself, financially by yourself, physically by yourself, how the hell are you going to deal with the stressors of the world and your relationship at the same time, trying to progress? It's not going to happen. So focus on yourself first, and then you're able to focus on your significant other and your family if you do want so, right? And then again, with your environment, don't put yourself in places that you don't need to be, that's not going to benefit you. Don't spend your money putting in places that's going to LOI you. Loss of investment that doesn't have any type of way of benefit you whatsoever. You got to sacrifice whatever it takes to get there. Because once you reach where you want to be, you're going to be like, it's all worth it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it comes down to people, places, and things. That's what you got to sacrifice. The people, the places, and the things that are not aiding you, that are not helping you get to where you want to be, they have to go. Because up until the point you're at right now, those people, places, and things have probably been a constant in your life. And are you where you want to be today? Probably not. So what does that mean? What you've been practicing, the things you've been doing, the life you've been living is obviously not going to lead to what your ideal lifestyle looks like. So isn't it just common sense at this point, bro, that you just need to fucking let it go? You just have to let it go. I don't even think there's a nice way of saying it. Just stop being such an idiot. Stop ignoring the things that are really putting you back. You're being stupid. You're being foolish. You're being self-destructive. You're being manipulative. You're being a sheep. Because it's not really. It's really sheep behavior to feel like I'm just going to be walking the same direction and I'm going to get to wherever I want to go. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. People, places, and things have got to go. And eventually, after removing them, they need to be replaced with healthier people, places, and things in order for you to take that next step to further your progress, to further accelerate and get to your ideal life situation, your life state.
Yeah. And I want to say this as a simple thing just to be kind of funny. Um, so right now, with you not changing anything, you're driving through the streets where at each corner you're gonna have a stoplight that's gonna stop you from the things that you need to do. It's time that you got rid of the fear, got rid of the bullshit, and go hop your ass on the highway so you can everlastingly keep going forward towards your destination. This has been the Just to Know podcast, where we make knowledge your strongest weapon. Please, guys, take the necessary sacrifices that you need to have in your life. And I promise you, your future self will thank you.
Stop being a sucker. Work on getting better. You heard. As always, it's been a pleasure to have you guys here. We'll see you next time. God bless. Peace.
Peace.